Phyllis people have seen us process together before in a group, and people are like, oh, you should never do that. I've had a lot of people go, what did the two of you just do? This couple says, we've been married 19 years. We've never done that. What did you just do? The equivalent of that would be somebody steps on a nail. They now have a nail going through their foot, and we're calling them, challenging them to just go, oh, I feel pain. That doesn't make any sense. That's not human. There's not a human on the planet that would do that. That's just completely irrational. So I want them to scream, ow, that hurts. They're supposed to. That's what humans do. We kept Malachi last night, and everywhere he goes, he runs, and so he falls a lot. And every time he falls, he hits his hands. And he didn't always have stuff on his hands, but a lot of times he'd have little specks, pieces of gravel or whatever. And he'd come running over to me, and he's crying because it's the end of the world, and we're probably all going to die soon. And he's overwhelmed. Well, I expect that from him. I don't expect him to be completely casual and calm. But the difference is we're naming the emotion. I want Phyllis to be able to say, babe, I feel so much anger. Oh, anger towards you about that. Great. I can dance with that all day long. What I can't dance with, or what I at least struggle horribly dancing with, is when she either shuts down because of the anger or she just says something snide, which she doesn't do that anymore, hasn't in many years. But if she just says something biting towards me, but doesn't name the emotion, and one of the things we reference a lot is literally saying the emotion. We researched this a lot years ago, that saying the word begins the processing of the emotion, saying fear out loud, not just acting out of fear, but actually saying the word. And the byproduct of that is it also tickles that region of the other person's brain, and it becomes a shared human experience, and it becomes bonding. But that's the byproduct. You have the right, even if you're alone, to say out loud, whew, fear, 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 fear. Maybe you have a presentation on stage and you're feeling a lot of nervousness. You're feeling whatever, intimidated. You're feeling overwhelmed by it. Say the word fear. That's the core emotion. And as you're standing on stage, they're about to introduce you, literally you can whisper and just go, ooh, make sure your microphone's off. Although that'd be a great beginning of a presentation if your mic wasn't off and all of a sudden people hear, fear, fear, fear. And you're like, what is that? And then literally, like you get on stage and say, oh, that was just me processing the emotion. Because people say this all the time. They're like, oh, well, I can't do that with other people around. I don't know. I wonder. And Phyllis people have seen us process together before in a group, and people are like, oh, you should never do that. I've had a lot of people go, what did the two of you just do? This couple says, we've been married 19 years. We've never done that. What did you just do? So it does make incredible conversations.
Going back to what you were saying as far as just saying, I feel a lot of anger about this, or you were talking specifically, me being able to say to you, I feel a lot of anger towards you with this. And the freedom in that, this is my story, that for many years I sidestepped it. And I think many of us do that, where we, instead of just come right out and saying it, we drop hints, we come at it almost in a sarcastic way. That's a lot of sarcasm is that. And it's, to me, that creates a ton of confusion and almost like this, like it's a little jab. It's just a little jab, a little pinch. It's just a little pinch. But it doesn't even release the true emotion. You're still keeping it in a cage. You're still keeping it inside your body. You're holding it in your body, and it's just doing so much damage versus just saying the sentence. But I had this conversation with someone recently, and they said, oh, in our family, we're real good at just speaking truth. And I asked, what does that look like? Right. And what was interesting is that what the conversation went on to say, or this person said, that it is just, she calls it truth, but it's really being able, just yelling if, and these are all adults now, but like she was saying, yeah, if my sister is mad at my dad, she'll just stand right there in front of all of us and yell at him. Yeah. So we're real good at sharing our emotions. Right. I'm like, see, that's where I think all this gets lost too often, because that's not what we're talking about. We're actually saying, Dad, I felt really angry that you just took my car and didn't even ask me if you could take my car.